Hey, it's Ryan from the Mandan Fund, and I thought it would be interesting because we've now arrived at the last week of the Student Investor Challenge. Or we should be saying round one of the Student Investor Challenge, because after this round, the top 500 odd chosen teams will go through to a semi-final round where only 8 of them will go through to a final round. But I thought it's been a load of fun and a great learning experience for many of us, and I thought it would go well. I thought it would be a great scenario now to outline our experiences and especially things we've learned along the way. The leaderboard is quite tight right now. We, from a lot of hard work, we may be holding a potential first place position, but of course you have to be patient in this market. Anything can change within a day. As you can see, one team gained 76 places today, and that must have been over Ricardo, likely. It did 27%. And of course, that shifted the tables greatly, as you can see. 333 places. Some teams completely soared off the back of this. Unfortunately, we did not hold the equity Okado group. Okado, sorry, just Okado, no Okado group, I don't know. But we had purchased another equity that did quite well today, and that had held on to the name Barclays. But that did what, 4% today? So, the main explanation to summarize what we did has to start with the first story of how we came across this competition. Now, I was the one who introduced this competition to my school, but before that, I'd been introduced when I went to Peter Simmons' open evening, and I was talking to a lady from the business department, and she said, if you do equities yourself, it would be nice to maybe enroll yourself in this kind of competition. I thought, that sounds nice. So I thought, when I go to college, hopefully maybe I could try and apply there, because they had courses I'd liked anyways, and I was initially going there. So I thought maybe find something extra to take part in as a competition, because at that point I'd been doing equities myself, equity trading, for about 3-4 years, and I'd experienced any markets such as the Nasdaq exchange, the alternative investment market exchange here in the UK, and well, the Nasdaq is in the US, but here in the UK we've got the AIM markets. We've also got our normal FTSE 100, FTSE 250, and many more companies along that line, just main market listed companies. But for me, I was quite interested because I was a swing trader, and what I was trying to do was develop a portfolio that I could test different strategies, especially being quite young at the time. I was 11 when I started into investment myself, and I found it myself through the deities of the web. But the main reason I thought a team effort would work quite well in this kind of a scenario was due to reading a book. I was reading a book called The Art of Execution by Lee Freeman Shaw, and that book stated there was a challenge that you could teach anybody about investment from secondary school to adulthood. It doesn't matter, as long as you set them the right strategies through successful experience, then you can implement these strategies and almost clone successful investors. Now, in this case, what I did was over the course of, I think, it must be spanning to about 4 or 5 months now, because we started before the practice round, and what I planned was lessons and sharing experiences, previous trade experience myself, experiencing oil markets being quite volatile in 2015, 2016, and also the recovery. These kind of scenarios would probably help in our team scenario, and working with such bright individuals that were really willing to learn and always put the time and effort to work hard. They never miss any of the sessions. Really kind of gave me the strive to think, all right, we all need to have an equal say in this, and we're all going to work together and hopefully try to succeed. So it got to the point that we came and started learning, and through teaching technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and sentimental analysis to them through short modules, we could all understand what certain phrases I'd been using, because I'd initially been using quite complex phrases like anything from the simple things of support and resistance to Fibonacci measures, etc. And of course, it was quite confusing for somebody who hadn't came across these kind of things before. I mean, when I'd started up, definitely I'd found these things almost as if I was learning a different language that I'd never encountered before in my life. But the beneficial impact of this was now we can understand what we were talking about, daily market activity, and everybody from the beginning of that practice round to the point now, and to the end of the competition, I guarantee, has put so much work in, and every single person has a role, even from any other teams, because I've heard from the other teams from other schools as well that they're putting a lot of effort into this, and this is something where it's a great learning experience, because the markets, from my experience, and many other investors will also tell you, that you cannot have an amazing time all the time. You will always have bad days. But the best investor, or even the best person in life, is the one that can stand up no matter how hard they're hit in life. I think there was a quote that went somewhere along the lines of that. I don't remember the exact words of it, unfortunately. But the main thing I felt was, if we can all work as a team and apply the right strategies, we can be more powerful than any force out there. A hedge fund, even, to be honest, because you've got hedge funds performing 20% in a year. 4 months, we're 46%. And to be fair, these kinds of returns were the strategy of which I'd implemented, and the group had also started trying to refine these ways we could all work together and find what works best for us as a group, and also enjoy it. Because, I mean, what's the point of taking part in something if you don't enjoy it? The main aim from the beginning was not for monetary purposes or anything. If there were things that we would win in the future or gain, all of those proceeds, we'd all agreed from the beginning, would go to a charity of purely our group's choice, no input from anybody else. Because if you put the work in, you should have the right to choose what happens to winning funds. But anyways, the competition's not over with, but we're definitely working quite hard, hoping that we can go through to the next round, and thankfully we're in a reasonable position to go through to the semis, hopefully. But it's quite a difficult round in the semis as well. It's prediction, and that includes so many different factors to encounter, especially intraday movements within companies. Intraday movements are the most difficult, in my opinion, within a weekly period, and not the charts weekly time frame, because fear not, a charts weekly time frame is usually a monthly to a yearly time frame. But we're talking Monday to Friday close. That's quite difficult, especially if you're a few days off. Or you could see, I don't know, Okado, for example, just get a deal with a Canadian company, and before you know it, they soar another 27%, 123% up from year lows. It's crazy. But that's what happens when you have a hugely shorted company that has a short squeeze. You have a massive rally on the back of it, and the institutional investors are the ones who are losing out, which is quite rare. But anyways, I don't want to waffle on too much. But the main point of this competition, and the main point of our participation in this competition, is to have learned something. Not only how to work together as a group and develop our skills in researching, because these things help us in life. When you study, when you get financial education was probably the most vital part of our sessions, because not only are you learning simple things for your life, but you're also learning about what affects the companies and what normal changes in society, which we would regard as nothing, actually have an effect on the markets. But anyways, that's been a short summary of our experiences right now.